Let's discuss Spain's 7-0 Costa Rica now, the other two teams in this group. Now, the first question, I suppose, JJ, is, are Spain really good, or are Costa Rica really bad, or as normal when someone asks a question like that? Is it somewhere in the middle?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, Costa Rica, I think, are the worst team we've seen so far. And I think they're worse than Qatar. Who's the other bad one?
Iran weren't great, but we think Iran are better than they showed themselves to be.
Yeah, I think Iran are genuinely good. I think they just had other stuff to deal with at the time. I think the main difference between Qatar and Costa Rica is that Qatar at least tried.
Right.
Costa Rica let Spain pass them about. I mean, they didn't look like they knew what to do. For lots of it, they didn't know. Maybe they didn't know. They must know what they're doing. It was so confusing.
Well, they're international
footballers.
Yeah.
Also, they're good, decent players. I mean, there's a thing with Costa Rica. A lot of the players played in the last 2 World Cups as well, so they've not exactly got a young generation. But they just didn't put any pressure on Spain whatsoever. So it was easy to pass around them. Spain were great. Like, can't take it away from Spain. And I love watching Spain play. And in my research for all the previews and stuff, what I found with Spain was that they were really good. In fact, Liam Tharm said this on his articles as well.
Great writer, Liam.
Yes, yeah. Liam, a very good tactical writer. You should follow him on The Athletic.
Absolutely.
Also in our tactics previews videos, he's very good. But he was saying how Spain are one of the best teams, if not the best team at the tournament, between the 2 boxes, but they're very bad at scoring goals. They don't have a real striker. Morata plays, and you see he's offside every single 5 minutes. And they can often let something in at the back if they're not paying attention. And he played Rodri at the back here, and next to Laporte, because you knew that they were going to have all of the ball, and they just had like lovely passing football, like really quick tempo, 1 and 2 touch, making the pitch nice and big, making it small when you need to. And Costa Rica just didn't do anything to them. They didn't try and put so the thing you saw with Saudi Arabia and even Japan and I think Morocco and Tunisia, a lot of power, a lot of aggression going into these tackles. Right, they weren't messing them out. They weren't trying to hurt them, but they're making sure that they knew they were there. As soon as they got the ball, snap into them.
Bit of that in Canada too tonight as well.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, so the ball went out to them. No one got time, and if their touch wasn't perfect or their little pass inside wasn't exactly where it was meant to go, they'd lose the ball. Whereas Costa Rica were like, nah.
Right.
Do you think it's quite damaging for a team when you have a goalkeeper like Keylor Navas, who is among the best in the world and has been for a really long time, and he has a terrible night? Do you think that's quite difficult for you to deal with as a teammate, because you think this is, it's okay, we have our safety net, we've got Keylor back there, and I don't think I've seen him play worse for Costa Rica.
They all look so rattled.
Yeah, they really did.
I really didn't expect it. Again, in my research for them, I thought they'd be all their games would be quite boring and really low scoring because they just block everything off. But that's interesting about this tournament so far is that teams who, I'll call them bad, I don't mean they're bad, but just ones who aren't as good as the best ones, like Costa Rica, Qatar and stuff, rather than sitting deep in this block and inviting everyone to just be able to dominate you and stretch the play and eventually work their way through, a lot of teams are taking their chances and pushing up high, like an aggressive high press.
Yeah.
Because, you think you've got 3 games to play, maybe that'll be all you get, so you might as well use up all your energy. Like,
can I suggest a sort of counter perspective though?
Yes.
If we were footballers and we played for Costa Rica, for example, and we were playing against Spain in the opening game of the 2022 World Cup, and Spain scored in the 11th minute, and then the 21st minute, and then the 31st minute, and you realised that there was another 60 minutes left to go, I think my reaction would be to turn the computer game off and go to bed.
I'm also a sulker by nature, so me too, probably. Yes.
I'm not to say that the Costa Rica players did turn the computer game off or did sulk, but that must be a tricky psychological position to be in.
Yes, but you can get secret goals back by kicking people.
Secret kicking goals.
Yes. So if you can get someone sent off, that's a good way to. So basically, if you're losing 3-0, but you get the opposition sent off, that counts as
all of them.
A goal.
Yeah.
Or at least one.
Right.
All of them is a real result.
What would you remember when in Sensible Soccer when you used to just get like 6 players sent off and then the game was forfeited?
Oh yeah, well that's what when I used to play FIFA all the time. If I was losing, I would just start hacking people to death until they all got sent off.
Is that a real rule?
Yeah.
How many is it? Red cards?
You can have 7 players on the pitch, but no fewer.
Okay.
So obviously, if you were to get another
4 red cards, if it's 5 red cards,
and the game is abandoned,
the game's abandoned.
And
they abandoned. Would that be then be a 0-3?
It would be a 3-0. Yeah.
What if the other team was 5 goals up and it was a goal difference situation where you needed to have 4 or fewer goals scored against you for you to win the league?
I do not know the rule for that.
Interesting, huh? You weren't listening.
No.
Well, anyway, that's an interesting one.
Maybe
for me.
you found an excellent loophole to exploit.
Let me ask you something else
Yes,
interesting.
indeed.
Pedri, who I'm sure JJ is going to talk about shortly.
I love him.
He's 20 on Friday. Yeah. Very exciting. Happy birthday, Pedri, for Friday. And Gavi, who's 18 and the youngest Spanish player at the World Cup ever. who scored a goal today.
Yep.
Yeah, they're good.
I feel we've talked about Pedri a lot, and yes, clearly he's exceptional. I think what I like about Gavi is beyond the ability, and what a great goal. If that's his first goal for Spain at a World Cup, what a finish. He's also a menace. The way he plays is really aggressive, and the way he, I think you saw him, there was a little confrontation towards the end of the game between him and one of the Costa Rican players who was about 8'6". And Gavi is he's a bit scrappy. He's one of those players that will happily leave his foot in, and I quite like seeing that in a player who's 18. That's quite unusual.
Yeah, what you're saying is you want a teenager to be aggressive.
I don't want him to be overwhelmed by the occasion. Definitely not in a World Cup. And he's like this for Barcelona. Ever since he made his debut for Barcelona, he's not afraid to kick people. He's not afraid to be aggressive, and he's not afraid to be a bit generally aggro. He's got an attitude to him, and it's good. It's a positive thing, because when you're a skillful player, you're going to get kicked. Yeah, you're going to get punted around the pitch, and other players who aren't possibly as gifted are going to try and intimidate you.
You do see it with, I mean, some of the best players in the world, they all have different ways of dealing with that.
Yep.
But I think it's fair to say that sometimes when you see a player who seems from the outside to be a bit egotistical or a bit full of themselves, I always give them a bit of leeway there, because I think you know that's one way of managing it, is to have an enormous amount of self-belief in order to maintain your performance level, and what comes with that sometimes is a little bit of arrogance. JJ Bull.
I think if you are an elite footballer, you're going to have a lot of arrogance to get yourself to that point.
Yeah.
Yes, so kind of an inevitable thing. I think a lot of them are they're very driven. This was a nice way to say that. I need to stop looking at you while I'm talking. I think, so basically they're going to have a lot of arrogance, a lot of determination to be able to get to that elite point. I think Gavi, you see that. I think Pedri is just a beautiful footballer to watch. He can do absolutely everything. He is a pass master. He has mastered the pass. Yes. He can do all the passes. There's a game against Italy. It was in the Euros, I think, maybe.
In the semi-finals.
Was it semi-final?
You won, they lost on penalties.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah. So Pedri had 55 passes, and almost all of them were forward, and not a single one was misplaced. I don't think I've ever seen that before. And that's him doing that, I mean, whatever that was, a year and a half ago. As we established, it was 5 months ago. Yes. So, that's right. Whereas, so Pedri's more, he's not like Xavi, if you want to be kind of basic and make them what they're more like, because Busquets is still playing with them both. But Pedri's more someone who can create from slightly deeper, but can also work between the lines, between the midfield line and the forward line, and thread something. But he'll receive it in tight spaces and evade a little challenge, and then suddenly he already knows there's someone running off, behind him, like he has eyes in the back of his head, that cliche, but he seems to know. And so he can help play progress really easily, whereas Gavi is more inclined to help directly with the forward line, the very last line, and he receives the ball far more often in the box than Pedri would. He's more of an attacking player, and he's played a lot for Barcelona off the left wing as well, like an inside forward. So he starts with the left and comes inside quite a lot. Different kind of player, really tidy. I think they both won the Golden Boy, didn't they?
Yes, they did.
Yeah. Gavi won that now, didn't he?
Gavi won it this year, yeah.
The Golden Boy.
Yeah.
That means he's the most golden.
Very exciting. It's always exciting to see young players. Yes. Anyway, Spain. Could they win it, Seb? Because I feel like I often underrate them now, simply because they're not the 2010 team or the 2008 team. You know, they're very good.
They're very good. It's a perception problem. So last night we talked about Olivier Giroud's kind of PR and how challenging it's been for him to sort of follow Thierry Henry for club and country, and have to deal with kind of the comparisons with someone like Karim Benzema. It's very difficult. With Spain, obviously a different issue because they still play football in a recognisable way, and we're talking about two very young players who aren't the same as Xavi and Iniesta, but belong in the same sort of style category, I think. That's a sort of a fair comparison to make. And yet there's a bit of kind of what comes after the Lord Mayor's show about it, in the sense that it's still not 2010. It's not that ridiculous collection of perfect footballers. It's not the Barcelona team that developed under Guardiola and then Tito Villanova. But then I also think that one of the problems they're going to have to navigate around if they are to win the tournament is like that lack of a number 9 or the lack of a trusted goal scorer is still possibly something that may cost them. They're very, very good tonight. I think we're right about Costa Rica not being very good, but then we've seen in other tournaments, what happens when you apply pressure to Alvaro Morata when you suddenly need Luis Enrique to start defending him in public. It's a very difficult place for him to be. Can Asensio score enough goals? Can Olmo chip in from midfield? can Ferran Torres, who actually has been absolutely outstanding in qualifying games. I remember the game when Germany got absolutely battered by Spain. Torres was brilliant in that game. Can he score the goal that puts you through in a quarterfinal, in a semi-final? I think, like, for instance, like that Italy semi-final that you mentioned earlier, I think Spain were the better team in that, and they didn't win it. And that's the kind of situation where, like, if you have a number 9, if you have a goal scorer, then you do. Why are you?
No, I'm laughing because JJ's drinking and laughing, and that's always difficult.
If you have,
listen, we're with lots of expensive equipment here. If you're gonna eject that liquid from your mouth, you need to turn around before you do it. Okay, he's got it. He's got it. Yeah.
And I think the perception is of a little bit of a hole in the Spanish jigsaw.
Yeah,
like, you just need that player.
The Spanish jigsaw.
Yeah, because if you think about a football team as a jigsaw. Like, it all fits together perfectly, because that's what the old Spanish teams used to do. Everything was in perfect balance and harmony. And this one isn't quite. It's just like, we've got a really good player, let's put him there. And we've got another really good player, let's put him there. Let's see if it all works. And you don't, like, the 2010 Spanish side, you knew what you were going to get. I don't think any of us, before we watched this game, I think some of us thought, yeah, Spain are going to be good.
Yeah.
I don't think we thought they'd be quite as convincing as they were.
JJ definitely didn't, and we'll come to that when we talk about points are bad.
Okay.
But thank you, Seb. That was the Spanish jigsaw I like particularly.
It's nice.
Very nice.
If you liked today's video, please consider subscribing to the channel. And if you did like it, you might be interested in How to Watch Football, Tifo's illustrated book. It's 52 rules for understanding the beautiful game on and off the pitch, and it is the perfect holiday gift. How to Watch Football is out now in stores and online. See the link in the description to find out more, and thank you for watching today's video.